You don't need tons of lights to make professional portraits. Just one light and the right technique can take you a long way. Today we're going to explore simple lighting setups for portrait photography that will take your work to the next level in less than 10 minutes. Welcome back everyone. I'm going to break down 3 stunning portrait setups using just one light. Whether you shoot outdoors or in the studio, you don't need a ton of gear. Just one light and a single softbox or even a humble umbrella will take you a long way. I'll walk you through 3 real-world shoots. I'm going to use different modifiers today, but don't worry, if you just have a 3 or 4 foot umbrella, you can still recreate all of these looks with the gear that you have. This video is more about how to use your light effectively rather than selling you on a new piece of gear that will solve all of your problems. Too often, people like me sit here on YouTube trying to sell you on something, but today I want you to invest in yourself and grow your skills. But if you're going to buy something anyway, please click on the gear links in my description first, and that will help support me to make more videos like this one. We'll start outside using high-speed sync to freeze action, then we'll move into the studio for a clean full-body portrait, and finish with a setup that mimics soft, natural window light. If you want to go deeper on any of these techniques, I've linked to related tutorials and gear in the description. And while you're there, be sure to like, subscribe, and sign up for the bell. Let's kick things off outdoors at sunrise with a dynamic, high-speed sync portrait. I've used an Elinchrom 5 paired with a 100 centimeter or about 3 foot deep Octabox, one of my favorite modifiers. What makes this image possible is high-speed sync or HSS. This lets me shoot at a shutter speed faster than my camera's native sync speed, 1/5000th of a second to be exact, rather than 1/200th of a second, while still using flash. That fast shutter speed is what freezes every drop of water in the air as this triathlete runs out of Lake Michigan. I shot at f2 to keep a shallow depth of field and isolate him against the morning sky. The key here is balancing flash power with ambient light. When I shoot outdoors, I do things the same way every time. The first thing that I do is I choose my aperture, and I do that because I choose the depth of field that I want in the shot, how much I want in focus from the front to the back. In this instance, I was shooting at f2, and that's because I wanted him isolated against the sky. I wanted the viewer just to look at him, so I chose that f-stop first. Then the next thing I needed to do is raise my shutter speed in order to expose the background correctly, and also in order to freeze the water, but the two things happened at the same time. If I went to a 1/3000th or 1/5000th of a second shutter speed, the sky would be correctly exposed and the water would be frozen, so it worked out in my favor. The next thing I always do is add in my flash, and then I turn the power of that light up or down until the person looks the right brightness. And this technique always works for me. So remember, depth of field, then change the shutter speed so that things look right in the background, then add your flash, and then power up until the subject looks good. If you're new to using high-speed sync, I've got a full video breaking it down up here that you're definitely going to want to check out. Now let's go indoors and work on full-length portraits. I started with a smaller 70 centimeter Octabox positioned close to Tanya. Turn your face more that way. Yeah, and your eyes over here. Good. That gave me plenty of light on her face, but when I measured the light with a light meter on her feet, it was 2 stops darker. That means that her face was getting 4 times the amount of light as her feet, and that's because the light is so much closer to her face than her feet. Next, I pulled the light back, and what that did is it made it more equidistant between the light and her feet and the light and her face. If you measured the distance with a tape measure, the distance from the light to her feet and the light to her face would have been fairly equidistant. And what that's going to do is it's going to make it so that that light head to toe is more even. Now, when you back the light up, you've got to turn the power up. So if you've got a light meter, go ahead and turn the power up, meter again, make sure that you're getting the same exposure as before, and you're good to go. Get an exposure that matches the settings that you have on your camera. If you don't have a light meter, just use trial and error until the photo looks bright enough for you. You're just going to turn it up, take some test shots, make sure that it looks good, and then move on. The next thing I did was I swapped the 70 centimeter Octabox out for a 120 centimeter Softbox. The bigger size made the light a lot softer and more flattering. It also meant that I could feather the light slightly in front of her to control the spill on the background. The most important concept here is that softness comes from the size of your light relative to your subject. The bigger the source appears to them, the softer and more flattering the light will be. Now, you've probably heard someone say this before: the larger the light source is relative to the subject, the softer it will be, but that's a little confusing. So I just like to say the bigger it looks to them, the softer it will be. If it looks really small, it's going to be very hard light with very sharp shadows, but if it looks big to them, it's going to be very soft light with very subtle shadows. If you want to go deeper on full body lighting techniques, I've got a full tutorial up here that you'll definitely want to check out as well. For our final look, we're going to recreate the feel of natural window light with a large modifier. I'm using an Elinchrom 190 centimeter indirect Octabox. This is roughly 6 feet in diameter. The Octabox is placed above and to the side and slightly in front of Jason. This position simulates how light might enter a room from a tall window or overhead skylight. It gives a soft, directional light that wraps around his face and creates natural looking shadows for depth and dimension. Now, don't worry if you don't own a 190 centimeter or 6 foot Octabox. You could achieve a very similar effect with a 4 to 7 foot umbrella, especially if it has a diffusion sock. The key is not the exact modifier, but where you place it and how you use it. You could also add a V-flat on camera left to bounce light back into the shadows. This particular footage comes from one of my in-depth member-exclusive tutorials on the Academy with John Gress, my online members-only learning platform, where you can watch me from multiple angles work on setups like this in almost real time while solving lighting challenges. Please click on the link in the description to get a 3-day free trial and to find more information. So to wrap it up, we used just one light and one softbox in 3 totally different ways. First, we started off outdoors using high-speed sync and a shallow depth of field to freeze action. Then we moved indoors to get a balanced full-body portrait, and then we recreated soft window light in the studio. If you found this video helpful, please remember to like, subscribe, and sign up for the bell. And if you want to take your learning to the next level, check out my One Light Lighting Handbook, a complete guide to mastering single light setups. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them below. Thank you so much for watching. I hope that you have a wonderful day, and I will talk to you soon.